Good morning, Year 5s, and welcome to your maths lesson. Today, we're going to be looking at our learning objective, which is to round decimals. Again, this is just going to be a revision from the previous week's learning. So for those of you who were able to access your learning earlier on in the term, this should just be a nice quick recap for you. And for those children who just need, who've recently joined our learning, we'll be going through this quite slowly, and so hopefully you'll be able to understand this concept. Please make sure that you have paper and pencils or pens ready. All right, we don't expect you to do these sums in your head. We expect you to be working them out on a piece of paper, so please make sure that you have everything ready. Right, we're going to start with our starter, which is our fast 5. Remember, 5 minutes for you to complete these 5 sums. So have a go and good luck. So if you need to pause the video, do so now. Great, let's see how you've done. So first of all, we've got our addition and we are adding decimal numbers. So our most important thing we need to remember when we're adding decimal numbers is that we line up our decimal point. Okay, very important. So I'm going to put the decimal down and I'm going to copy this number exactly the same. Okay, so the digit that comes just before the decimal is the 3, and the decimal that comes just after is a 3, and then I add in the other numbers. Right, what's very important as well is that we copy the number down exactly the same. So if I look at this number, it must look exactly the same. If I look at this number, it needs to look exactly the same. And now I have a gap, so I'm going to put my placeholder in. Right, another silly mistake many of you make is that we don't put our decimal in our answer. So I'm going to put it straight into the answer now. So all my decimal points have lined up. And now I'm going to be making sure that I'm adding and not subtracting. And here I go. 7 plus 0 is 7. 8 plus 3 is 11. Carry the 1. 3 plus 3 plus 1 is 7. 5 plus 8 is going to be 13. Carry the 1. And 4 plus 7 is 11. And 11 plus 1 is 12. Okay, hopefully that was a nice, easy mark for you for your starter. Right, reading very carefully now this question. So this is where our reading skills come into play. What is the value? And now we've been speaking about value and digits. Okay, all right, and we've got these two terms that we need to look at. Okay, so remember, value is how much it is worth, and digit is just one number. So it says, what is the value of the largest digit? So first of all, I need to go and find the largest digit. So which is the largest digit out of 7, 8, 6, and 5? It is 8. And it asks me for the value. So I want to know how much is that 8 worth now? And it is worth 800. Okay. All right. If you said 800, like the word, that's also fine. All right. So thinking about value, underlining or highlighting those keywords is very important so that we can really understand our question. Right, we've got minus 7 plus 8. So again, start with your number line. Find minus 7. Right, I'm going to move my number line just a little bit further down because we are adding. Right, remember when we add, we always move to the right every single time. Whenever we add numbers, if you think about a number line and I say 3 plus 5, you're going to move to the right. So I put my number 7 because I'm adding, I'm going to leave quite a bit of space on this number line so that I can bunny hop. Now I'm going to bunny hop 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I go and add in my digits. So minus 6, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1. And then many people forget to add the 0. Remember, 0 is still a number on the number line, and 1. Okay, so my answer is going to be 1. Right, we've got a decimal multiplied by a whole number. So I write my decimal, 23.8. and I multiply it by 8, okay? All right, and now I'm going to do my short multiplication method. Nothing strange or different here. So I'm going to start with 8 times 8 is 64. Because remember the little rhyme, I ate and I ate and I got sick on the floor. 8 times 8 is 64. right? I've got the decimal there and I've got 1 digit off the decimal. So here's my 1 digit. So I'm going to put my decimal in my answer. Then I say 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 6 is going to be 30. Carry the 3. And then I say 8 times 2 is 16. And 16 plus 3 is 19. If you worked it out a different method or a different way and you still got this answer, that is absolutely fine, all right? But that is the answer is 190.4. Hopefully you got that right. Okay, and our last one is our division. And we're going to do our bus stop. So 2,764. This is the only one where we don't set it out vertically. We put it into the bus stop. Right. And I say 6 goes into 2. I cannot do that if I have 2 sweets. Remember, I always imagine that this is how many sweets I have. This is a very bad picture of a sweet, but you can, okay, it's my delicious sweet. All right, I always imagine that these are sweets, okay? I have 2,764 sweets, and I want to put them into groups of 6. So if I only have 2 sweets, I cannot make a group of 6. I'm not going to throw those away, though. I'm going to regroup it to the 7. Right, 6 goes into 27. And again, I count on my 6 times tables. And I'm going to get 4 groups of 6, which will make 24. And I'll be left with 3 sweets. Then I say 6 goes into 36 equally 6 times, because 36 divided by 6 is 6. And 6 goes into 4, I cannot do, so I'm going to put a 0 there. But now I'm still going to have these 4 sweets left over, so I'm going to have a remainder 4. Okay, so hopefully you've done really, really well with your starter. If not, you're welcome to rewind the video, go back and have a look at how I worked them out. And those of you who feel quite confident with your starter, we're going to move on to the work. So can you remember the rounding rhyme? Okay, this rounding rhyme, and I'll give us a little clue as the start of the rounding rhyme. A little bit of a tongue twister there. Rounding rhyme. So see if you can remember the rhyme that we've been learning about in class when we do rounding. See if you can remember it, say it out in your head. Right, and hopefully you managed to say this. Find the number, look right next door, 5 or more, we're going to raise the score. If it is 4 or less, we're going to let it rest. So if I want to look at this number and I wanted to round to the nearest 100, I'm going to go to the hundreds column. There it tells me I need to go to the hundreds column. So now knowing my place value is very important. So what digit is in the hundreds column? It is the 9. So I'm going to circle it. So I found the number. I'm going to look right next door. So I underline the number next door. And is this number 5 or more? No, it is not. Is it a 4 or less? Yes, it is. So I'm going to let the number rest, and I let the number that I've circled stay the same, okay? So I'm not going to change the 9. The 9 is going to stay exactly the same because I'm going to let it rest. All the numbers to the left of it stay exactly the same, and all the digits to the right of it, I need to put placeholders, okay? So that's just a bit of our rounding recap, all right? So remember this, try and remember this little song because it's really going to help you when you're looking at rounding. Okay, so can you now try and see if you can do these 3 on your own? If you'd like to pause the video now and have a go. Otherwise, if you want just a little bit of a reminder, let's do the first one together and then you can see if you can do the last 2 on your own. So we're going to be rounding to the nearest 100. So I'm going to go to the hundreds column. I'm going to circle it. I'm going to look at the number next door. Right, find the number, look next door. Is it 5 or more? No. Is it 4 or less? Yes. So I'm going to let the number that I've circled stay the same. Let it rest. Are there any digits to the left of it? No, so there's nothing to add there. And how many digits are to the right? There are 2 digits, so I'm going to put 2 zeros. See if you can now have a go at those 2 questions. So pause the video now and write those numbers down. Don't do it in your head, please. Write them on your piece of paper. Circle the hundreds column. Look at the number next door and see if you need to round the number up or down. Okay, if you have to round the number up, then you add 1 more to the number that you've circled. Have a go at those 2. Right, if you need more time, don't forget you can still pause the video at any point that you do an activity. So if you need more time, pause the video and have a go. Right, so we're going to look at the answers now. So hopefully you've got the answers written down. So we're going to find the number and we're going to look next door. Is this number, this digit 5 or more? Yes, it is. So I'm going to raise the score. So I'm going to go to the number that I've circled and I'm going to raise the score. So I'm going to add 1 to it. Are there any digits to the left of it? Yes, there is. There is a 1, so I keep the 1 exactly the same. And are there any digits to the right? Yes, there are. There are 2 digits. So I'm going to put 2 zeros to represent those placeholders. Just because this is a nice big number does not mean that it's anything scary. We're going to use the same method. So what is the method? What is the rhyme that's going to help us? We're going to find the number. So I look at the hundreds column. I look next door. Is it 5 or more? Yes, it is. So what's going to happen to the 3? I'm going to add 1 more because I'm going to raise the score. All the digits to the left, I'm going to keep exactly the same. And all the digits to the right, I'm going to put placeholders. Okay. If you need to go back and just revise that, please do. Otherwise, we're going to move on. Right, so we're going to be looking at rounding decimals and we're going to use exactly the same method. Okay, there is nothing different now. We're still going to use the rhyme. We're still going to use circling the number, underline the number next door, and this will then give us the answer. So the only thing we need to understand now is what we are rounding to. So here we are rounding to the nearest tenth. The tenths column is over here in our place value chart, and that is 1 decimal place, okay? So I'm only going to have 1 digit after the decimal, all right? This is the only difference between rounding decimals and rounding whole numbers, is I don't then put the placeholders where the digits are to the right. So using the same method, do not panic, do not stress about it. We're going to use the same method. So find the number. Now, if I'm looking for the 1 decimal place, so 1 decimal place is the tenths here. So I'm going to go and find the tenths column, which is the 5. I'm going to find the number. I'm going to look next door, right? It's the 6. Is it 5 or more? Yes, it is. 6 is 5, then is 1 more than 5. So I'm going to raise the score. So I'm going to add 1 more to the 5 to give me 6, sorry. Then the only difference now with decimals is I only want 1 decimal place after the decimal point, okay? So I'm not going to put a 0 here, but all the information to the left must stay exactly the same. So I'm going to put my decimal and I'm going to write the 4, okay? So this will still say the same. Everything to the left stays exactly the same. The only difference now is with decimals is because I only want 1 decimal place, I'm only going to have 1 digit after decimal. So I'm not going to add a 0, okay? That is the only difference. And that is not very difficult to remember because the question literally asks you to give you 1 decimal place. And if it gives for 1, we're looking for 1 digit. Right, so the next one, we've got same thing. We're looking for the nearest tenth. So I'm going to go to the tenths column. Okay, I underline the digit next door and it says there to 1 decimal place. So I'm going to look at the number next door. Is this 5 or more? No, it's not. So I'm going to leave it exactly the same. All the digits to the left say exactly the same. 2, 9, 3. And hopefully you have remembered not to put a 0 here. Okay, remember no 0 here because I'm obviously only wanting 1 decimal place. Right, I'm now going to be doing to nearest hundredth. Hopefully now this is starting to make a little bit of sense. And now I'm looking at 2 decimal places. So if you want to pause the video and have a go and see if you can do these without me going through them, then you're welcome to. And those of you who want a bit more practice, you can follow with me. So I'm looking for 2 decimal places now. So I'm going to go and count 2 digits after decimal and I'm going to circle it. And I'm going to use the same method. Look at the number next door, right? Is it 5 or more? Yes, it is. So what's going to happen to this 5? Well done. It's going to become a 6 because I'm raising the score. What happens to the numbers, the digits to the left of it? Good. They stay exactly the same. And Now, do I put a 0 here? And hopefully you said no, because I'm looking for 2 decimal places. There are my 2 decimal places. If you want to try and have a go at this last one on your own now, see if you can have a go. Otherwise, if you would like a little bit more practice, you can have a listen. Okay, same method. Find the number. So I want 2 decimal places. So I'm going to go count 2 digits after decimal and I'm going to circle it. Underline the number next door. Right. Is it 5 or more? No, it is not. It is 4 or less. So I'm going to let it rest. Which digit am I going to let rest? Good. Hopefully you've said the 3. Okay. The number that I've circled is the digit that I've circled is the digit that I'm looking at. Okay. If I need to change it or not. Right. All the digits to the left stay exactly the same. And then do I add a 0 here? Good. No, I don't, because if I add a 0 there, then I've given 3 digits after decimal and I only want 2. So that is my answer. So this is actually almost easier than normal rounding because I don't have to worry about what happens afterwards. Okay, I don't have to worry about putting the placeholders after the digits. Right, the last one we need to look at is nearest whole number. So if you think that you want to have a go at doing these questions on your own, please go through it on your piece of paper now. You can write these 3 questions and see if you can now figure it out. Otherwise, if you would like me to go through the first one with you, and then you can do the next 2 on your own. Right, so the same method. Find the number. Now I want the whole number. So remember, the whole number are the numbers to the left of the decimal. The decimal is part of a whole number. It's not a whole number. So I'm going to look at the 4. So I'm going to circle my whole number and I'm going to look at the number digit next door. Right. And same method. Is it 5 or more? Yes, it is. So I'm going to raise the score and I'm going to raise the score of the number that I've circled, and I've circled the 4. So it's going to become a 5. And that is all I write. So easy because it is a whole number. I do not put a decimal because then I've given a decimal number as my answer. So see if you can have a go at these 2, all right? And then we'll go through it in a moment. So pause the video, see if you can have a go. Great, hopefully you've given it a go. That's all I expect. Even if you get it wrong, you're still going to learn from your mistakes. And that's what learning is all about, learning from our mistakes. So we're going to find the number. Now I'm going to the nearest whole number. So I'm going to go find the whole number, circle it. Look at the digit next door. Right. Is it or 5 or more? No, it is not. So if it is 4 or less, I'm going to let this digit rest, which is 2. And that's all I write. So easy. Okay. Why must I not put a decimal? Does it ask me for a decimal? No. So I just write the number 2. That's all I have to write. Okay. This is probably the easiest one out of all the rounding. Same thing here, find the whole number. Now the whole number is going to be my first whole number is my 7, my ones, okay? That's in my ones column. So 7 whole ones, right? Underline the next number next door, right? Is it 5 or more? Nope. So it's 4 or less. I'm going to let the number rest. So I'm going to leave the 7. All the digits to the left of it I need to keep, and that's all I write. And that is 17. That is a whole number. So you can quickly glance at your answers to check if they are whole numbers, all right, and see. Now, if at any point you felt that you didn't understand, please stop the video, go back, watch it again, use that rhyme that we've taught you, and see if you can apply it, okay? Right, so let's do a quick recap. This is for you to do on your own now. So again, I would like you to give it a go, even if you get all of them wrong. I'd rather you try and learn from your mistakes than not do it and just listen to the answer, which is not going to really help you to learn. So have a go at these 3 questions. I want you to round this number to the nearest whole. I want you to write this number to the nearest 1 decimal place, and I want you to round this number to the nearest 2 decimal places. So pause the video now and have a go. Right, so we're going to start with the whole number first, okay? So where is my first whole number? It is the 6 because that's representing the ones, and I underline the number next door. Right, is this number 5 or more? No, so it's 4 or less, so I'm going to let this digit rest. So I write the 6. All the digits to the left of it, I keep the same. And that is all I write. I do not put a decimal because I want a whole number. If I had to say to you, write the number 436, you will not write the number 436.0. Okay, you wouldn't do that. You would just write the number 436. So that is a whole number. Okay, decimal number is when we have a decimal point in it. Okay, now I want one decimal place. So again, I'm going to use my same method, exactly the same method here. I'm going to go find one decimal digit and I'm going to underline the number next door. Is the number that I've underlined 5 or more? Yes, it is. So I'm going to raise the score of the number that I've circled. So I write the number that I've circled and I've raised it to 3 and add 1. And all of it before I keep exactly the same, including the decimal. And that is all I write. And now I stop there, I go and check, do I have one decimal place after the decimal point? Yes, I've only got one digit, so I'm happy. If you put a 0 there, you must make sure that then you just cross it out when you do your checking. Okay, and that's why it's important just to quickly check. That took me a couple of seconds just to check that have I got one decimal point place after the decimal point? Yes, I do. I'm happy. Right, round to the nearest 2 decimal places now. So again, same method. I'm going to go 2 decimal places. I'm going to count 2 digits. I'm going to circle. I'm going to underline the number next door. Right, is the number that I've underlined 5 or more? Yes, it is. The number that I've circled, I'm going to round up. So that's going to become a 9. Everything to the left stays exactly the same. So I put a 2, I put a 6, I put a 3, and I put a 4. And that is all I have to do. And now 5 seconds to go and check. Have I got 2 decimal places after decimal? Yes, I do. If I did write a 0, cross it out. And so that we don't have those zeros, because otherwise you're giving me 3 digits after decimal and I'm only wanting 2. Okay, if you're feeling quite confident about this and you would like to go and do the activity now, you are welcome to log on to Teams and you can then do the exercise for today that's on the maths channel. Click on this quiz and complete those. You need to still do your working out on a piece of paper. You cannot do it in your head. That Teams is just there for you to write your answers down for us, okay? So when you have finished, and then you can submit those answers. Right, those children who are struggling to get onto Teams still, you can do these questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to give those children an opportunity just to pause the video at any point, and they can have a go at these questions, and then we'll go through the answers at the end, okay? So if you want a bit more practice, or if you don't have access to Teams, then you are going to do these questions, and then you can send them to year 5 at the primaryacademy.com email address for us to see. And those children who are feeling then that they've now had a bit more practice to feel quite secure, you can log on to Teams and do your 10 questions. Right, good luck. Right, so here the first question, can you round these to the nearest 1 decimal place? Just those 3. Then the next 3, can you round to the nearest 2 decimal places? And question number 7 and 8 is round to the nearest whole. Right, so don't forget that you needed to pause the video so that you could work that out on a piece of paper. And once you're done, you can unpause the video and we can go through the answers together. Right, so these are for the children who don't have Teams. I will give you the answers so you can mark your work and then send us a picture of your work. And those children who just wanted a bit more practice, let's whiz through the answers. Right, making sure I'm reading the question very carefully. I'm wanting to round the nearest 1 decimal place. So I'm going to go to the 1 decimal place. I'm going to underline the number next door. 5, I'm going to raise the score. So I'm going to say 2 is going to become 3, and everything to the left stays exactly the same. Okay, I've got 1 decimal place after the decimal point, and that is what I want. I'm happy. Next one, find the number, look next door. 4, I'm going to let it rest. So 4 is going to stay the same. And so 3 is not going to change. All the numbers to the left stay the same. And that is my answer. And the last one, I'm going to circle, underline the number next door, 5 or more, raise the score. So I'm going to make that a 9, 8 becomes a 9. All the digits to the left stay the same, and I'm happy. Quickly go and check, do I only have one digit after decimal? Yes, so that I'm fairly confident, I feel good. If you had a 0, you should just be crossing them out. Now I'm looking at 2 decimal places. So again, find the number, look next door, 5 or more, raise the score. So that is 5 or more. And all the digits to the left, including the decimal, stays exactly the same. Again, find the number, look next door, right? It's 4 or less, so I'm going to let this number digit rest. And then everything to the left, including the decimal, stays the same. And the last one, find the number, look next door, right? 5 or more, raise the score, so it's going to become a 4. Leave everything to the left exactly the same. Quick glance over, do I have 2 digits after my decimal? Yes, I do, so I'm happy. And the last one, just move this down. The last one, round to the nearest whole number, okay? So I'm going to go to the nearest whole number, find the whole number, the first whole number, which is my ones column, underline the number next door, 5 or more, raise the score, so that's going to become 7. Anything to the left stays the same, and that's all I write. I do not put a decimal because I want a whole number. And I circle the 4, underline the 2 next door. I'm going to let it rest because it is not going, it's not 5 or more, and I keep everything to the left the same. Hopefully you've managed to do really well with that. If not, go back in the video, go rewatch it, look at the rhyme, look what I'm doing each time, and hopefully you're going to feel really confident to do the activities today. So well done, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. That is your maths lesson. Take care. Bye-bye.